A young girl observes a wealthy man weeping at the grave of his mother. With just 2 words, her complexion drains of color. Before we embark on this narrative journey, please share a comment below and let us know your location as you tune in. Delight in the tale. The crisp autumn air flowed gently through Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, stirring the golden leaves that had started to descend. The sky hung in a muted gray, reflecting the burden that pressed down on Lily's heart as she strolled down the cobblestone path. She held a bouquet of wildflowers, thoughtfully gathered from the empty lots close to the shelter where she had spent the night before. The stems were encased in a crumpled piece of newspaper, a temporary vessel that threatened to unravel in her anxious hold. 1 year had slipped by since her mother had left this world. Even as time softened the initial blow, sorrow and solitude remained tightly woven into the fabric of Lily's existence, ever present like a lingering shadow. By the age of 7, she had mastered the art of concealing her tears, learning to remain silent and blend into the background when the situation called for it. These abilities had proven invaluable during her time in the shelters and temporary homes she had navigated since her mother's passing. As she neared the well-known grave marker, Lily eased her pace. There was already someone present. A man dressed in a tailored suit, kneeling before the headstone of her mother. With his broad shoulders slumped and head bowed, he gently laid a bouquet of white lilies at the stone. Lily paused, gripping her wildflowers more firmly. Who was this unfamiliar figure at her mother's grave? In the years following the funeral, she had not witnessed another soul pay a visit. Emily, her mother, often proclaimed that it was merely the 2 of them standing strong against the world. Initially, the man overlooked her presence. She observed him as he brushed his eyes with the back of his hand, catching the faint sound of his suppressed cries. His grief held a profound intimacy that made Lily consider looking away, yet this was her mother, a day meant to honor her memory. Summoning her bravery, she moved ahead. "What brings you to my mom's resting place?" she inquired, her voice soft yet distinct amidst the stillness of the cemetery. The man jumped, swiveling to face her with eyes tinged in crimson. He possessed a striking appearance, marked by a serious demeanor, dark hair flecked with gray at the temples, and a visage that seemed seldom touched by a smile. For a brief instant, he appeared bewildered by her arrival, blinking as though she were a specter. "Your mother." He finally spoke, his voice thick with feeling. Lily inclined her head, gesturing toward the headstone. "Emily Wilson is my mother." The man's complexion drained as he gazed at her, his look transforming from bewilderment to incredulity. He rose gradually, looming above her petite figure, his luxurious coat billowing in the wind. "That's not possible," he murmured, almost as if trying to convince himself rather than her. Then, with more volume, "Emily Reynolds was my spouse." Lily sensed the ground shift unsteadily beneath her. Spouse? Her mother had always remained single, never speaking of a husband. They were perpetually on the move, 2 souls drifting from one location to another, never lingering in any one spot for too long. "You're lying," she said, stepping back. "My mother was without a partner." The man appeared as unsettled as she was, his eyes darting between Lily and the headstone bearing the name, Emily Wilson Reynolds, inscribed in graceful lettering, a name Lily had never encountered in its entirety before. "May I ask who you are?" he inquired, his tone scarcely rising above a murmur. "I'm Lily," she declared, raising her chin even as her lips quivered. "Lily Wilson, I may not know you, but that's my mother." The stranger gazed at her, his expression a haunting blend of bewilderment and sorrow, as though he were confronting a specter from the past. "I'm David Reynolds," he finally stated, "and I believe we both have numerous questions to explore." David stood there, the cool autumn breeze caressing his face as he gazed down at Lily. She had stopped crying, yet her petite figure continued to shiver gently in the cool breeze. He devoted his life to navigating high-stakes negotiations, making multi-million-dollar decisions with effortless confidence. Yet here he stood, paralyzed by the presence of a young girl who asserted she was his wife's daughter. It was utterly perplexing. None of it worked. Emily had never brought up the existence of a child, never once alluded to a daughter beyond the confines of their marriage. As David gazed at Lily, he found it impossible to dismiss the powerful sensation that she was speaking honestly. In her eyes, Emily's eyes, there was an authenticity that could not be manufactured. "I'm not sure I get it," he finally admitted, his tone gentler than it had been. "Emily and I shared 8 years of marriage. She never mentioned that she had a daughter." Lily held her wildflowers close, her knuckles paling, "And she never mentioned a husband," she responded, her voice soft yet resolute. In a heavy silence, two strangers lingered, bound by the presence of a woman who had seemingly woven a web of secrets between them. David observed Lily's delicate jacket, the frayed shoes on her petite feet, the weary shadows beneath her eyes. She appeared utterly drained, as though restful sleep had eluded her for days on end. "What is your place of residence, Lily?" he inquired with caution. She paused, her gaze fixed on the earth below. "Various locations. I tend to be quite mobile." A chilling awareness enveloped him. If she lacked a permanent place to stay, where had she been since Emily's passing? The idea churned in his gut. "Who looks after you?" he inquired, making an effort to maintain an even tone. Lily shrugged, a gesture that felt achingly mature for her tender age. "I primarily focus on my own well-being. At times, individuals offer their assistance temporarily." David let out a slow breath, the chill of the air making it visible. The pragmatic mindset he had cultivated over the years took over, setting aside his initial shock and confusion. Whatever was unfolding in this moment, he could not abandon this child, Emily's child, in a cemetery as night drew near and the chill of the air began to settle in. "Have you had a meal today?" he inquired. Lily glanced upward, taken aback by the inquiry. She gave a subtle shake of her head. He gestured toward the gates, mentioning a diner located just beyond the cemetery. "Emily once found joy in it. We could grab a bite and have a conversation." He somewhat anticipated her rejection, to flee from this unfamiliar man asserting he was her mother's spouse. After a brief moment of reflection, she gave a nod. She confessed her hunger. As they strolled together along the twisting path of the cemetery, David's thoughts surged with inquiries. How had Emily managed to uphold two distinct existences? Where had she mentioned it to Lily? Was she leaving while she was with him? Who was Emily Wilson, and in what ways did she contrast with the Emily Reynolds he believed he understood? The diner buzzed with warmth and activity, a refreshing change from the cemetery's muted stillness. The hostess guided them to a secluded booth, her gaze lingering on them with intrigue. The sharply dressed businessman and the untidy child formed a peculiar duo. "Choose anything you want," David said to Lily, who was examining the menu with great focus. "Could I please have some pancakes?" she inquired, her tone uncertain, as though she anticipated him to reconsider. "Absolutely." As their food was placed before them, David observed Lily devouring her meal with an intensity that suggested she was unaware of when she might eat again. With every bite, a new chapter of her life unfolded. The meticulous manner in which she sliced her pancakes into petite, easily handled portions, and the way she savored her water between bites to prolong the experience. "Lily," he spoke softly as she came to a halt, "I need to grasp what's unfolding here. Where have you been residing since your mother passed away?" She placed her fork on the table, a sudden air of caution enveloping her. "Various locations, occasionally shelters. Last night, I found myself at Good Shepherd on 4th Avenue. David sensed a constriction in his chest. Fury, remorse, grief. He was unable to discern which one it was. For the past year, he had been mourning in his vacant brownstone, while this child, potentially his stepdaughter, had been without a home. "What about the rest of the family?" he inquired. "Grandparents, aunts, or uncles?" Lily gently shook her head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. "My mother often reminded me that it was just the two of us, that we relied solely on one another." The very same story Emily had shared regarding her own past, yet another falsehood in what was evolving into a tangled web of deceit. Lily, David remarked, locking his gaze with hers from across the table. I may not have all the answers right now, but I assure you of one thing. Tonight, you will find comfort away from a shelter. David hardly found rest that night, his mind ensnared in a web of thoughts he couldn't shake off. The guest bedroom down the hall, once a silent witness to Emily's absence, now brimmed with life, as a little girl transformed his reality in ways he never imagined. After dinner, he took Lily to his brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, a choice made on a whim, yet filled with certainty. He couldn't allow Emily's daughter, assuming she was indeed Emily's daughter, to endure another night in a shelter. Yet here he was, gazing at the ceiling as the first light of dawn crept in, feeling the heavy burden of the situation settle upon him. Was everything about his marriage just an illusion? How had Emily managed to uphold two distinct existences? What was he meant to do with a child he had never known about? The faint echo of cautious footsteps in the hallway drew him back from his reverie. He sprang to his feet, hastily draping a robe over his pajamas. As he swung open his bedroom door, he was met with the sight of Lily, appearing diminutive and hesitant in the large t-shirt he had lent her for the night. I couldn't find the bathroom, she said softly. Second door on the right, David said, gesturing down the hallway. She gave a brief nod and then vanished into that direction. David raked his fingers through his hair, letting out a heavy sigh. He made his way to the kitchen, opting to brew a fresh cup of coffee. He sought clarity, and caffeine appeared to be a sensible initial move. When Lily finally reappeared, David had prepared eggs and toast for her. With a sense of trepidation, she made her way to the kitchen island, ascending onto a stool with deliberate, measured motions. Did you prepare breakfast? She inquired, astonishment clear in her tone. It's not a lot, David confessed. Cooking isn't really my forte. Lily remarked, lifting a piece of toast. Mom wasn't either. We consumed an abundance of cereal. The effortless reference to Emily sparked a surge of emotion in David. This was his chance to delve deeper into the essence of the woman he believed he understood. Lily, he started, taking a seat across from her with deliberate care. I have a few inquiries regarding your mother. Concerning Emily. Lily regarded him thoughtfully for a moment before giving a nod. All right, but that means I can ask you questions as well. David found himself unable to suppress a faint smile at her clever negotiation tactics. That appears reasonable. What information are you seeking? She inquired, savoring a mouthful of eggs. Where did you and your mother reside? Lily gave a nonchalant shrug. A multitude of locations. We relocated frequently. Mom explained it was due to her job, yet we never settled in one place for longer than a few months. What type of work was she involved in? She rejuvenated artworks, mending them when they aged or suffered harm. At times, she found herself immersed in the world of museums, while at other moments, she catered to the needs of private individuals. David felt a tightness in his chest. That aspect, at the very least, was accurate. Emily had served as an art conservator at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, a detail he could confirm. Has she ever brought me up? He inquired, the query that had been smoldering within him throughout the night. Lily gave a slight shake of her head. No, she never mentioned that she was married. It has always been only the two of us. David savored a sip of his coffee, allowing the moment to center his thoughts. When might she vanish? Were there consistent moments when she wasn't by your side? 3 times a week. At times, 4, Lily stated plainly. Midweek days, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. She mentioned that she needed to work late during that time, so I kept Mrs. Garrett from the apartment next door company. The days coincided seamlessly with Emily's claims to David about her late hours at the museum or her time spent volunteering at shelters. The revelation struck him with the force of a tangible impact. His wife had woven an intricate tapestry of a double life, complete with meticulously devised justifications for her disappearances on either front. Lily interjected, claiming her moment in the conversation. What was the story behind your first encounter with my mom? David inhaled deeply, concentrating on the straightforward details instead of the feelings churning underneath. Within the halls of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I attended a fundraiser while she was putting in extra hours at the conservation studio. We unexpectedly collided in the hallway. Did you truly tie the knot? Lily inquired, her subsequent question following swiftly. Indeed, David murmured gently. 8 years have passed. We held an intimate ceremony at City Hall, followed by a delightful reception at our favorite restaurant. Did you truly care for her? The bluntness of the inquiry took David by surprise. He gazed into Lily's eyes, strikingly reminiscent of Emily's, and found it impossible to be anything other than truthful. He expressed it with great emphasis. I believed I had uncovered all her secrets. Lily nodded, appearing to embrace his response. I did as well. In that instant, a delicate bond blossomed between them. Two individuals grappling with the challenge of aligning their recollections of Emily with the mounting proof that she had been an unfamiliar presence in their lives. What comes next? Lily inquired, her tone soft yet unwavering. It was the inquiry that had occupied David's mind throughout the night, yet no definitive answer emerged. For the time being, he stated, you will remain here as I work to sort things out. Does that work for you, Lily? She surveyed the expansive kitchen before turning her gaze back to David. After a brief pause, she gave a nod of agreement. It surpasses the shelter. David found it unfamiliar to share his space with another person. Each morning unfolded with the rich aroma of coffee and the latest updates from the financial world. Emails reviewed at dawn, appointments arranged with impeccable timing. Today, he found himself in a department store, feeling out of place in the children's section as a saleswoman assisted Lily in choosing clothes. He had informed the woman shortly after the store opened that she requires everything. Attire for school, comfortable sleepwear, suitable footwear. The saleswoman cast a curious glance his way, yet refrained from inquiring about the untidy child who trailed behind this evidently affluent gentleman. Lily engaged with clothing with a similar level of thoughtful attention. She appeared to pour her heart into the task, scrutinizing tags, verifying prices, and choosing only the most sensible items. When David urged her to select things she truly enjoyed, rather than merely what was necessary, she appeared genuinely perplexed. This is enough, she declared, clutching a modest pile of essentials. How does this sound? David inquired, lifting a purple sweater that featured a delicate shimmer of thread intricately woven throughout. Lily paused for a moment, then firmly shook her head. It lacks practicality. There was an undeniable quality to her response, so mature and so composed, that caused David's chest to constrict. What sort of existence had compelled a 7-year-old to prioritize practicality instead of joy? He insisted on getting it regardless, tossing it onto the growing stack despite her objections. By midday, they had acquired not only clothes but also a backpack, school supplies, and toiletries. David contacted his assistant while in the car, directing her to look into local elementary schools and facilitate immediate enrollment. If Lily was going to remain with him, even for a short time, she required a sense of order, security, and learning. As they made their way back to his brownstone, David caught a glimpse of Lily in the rearview mirror. She remained still in the back seat, gazing out at the city that whizzed by, her tiny hand occasionally brushing against the collar of her new coat, as if she were in disbelief that it truly belonged to her. Is everything all right back there? He inquired. She acknowledged with a slight nod, her gaze fixed on the window. What is the reason behind all of this? The inquiry took him by surprise. Could you clarify what you mean? Acquiring items for me. Searching for educational institutions. She now faced him in the reflection of the mirror. He paused, weighing his response. You don't even know me, David finally said. You are the daughter of Emily. Your significance to me is undeniable, even though our connection is new. However, she was not truthful with you. Let me share a bit about myself. Indeed, David conceded, his hold on the steering wheel becoming a touch more firm. She did, but that's not on you. Upon arriving home, David assisted Lily in organizing her new clothes in the guest room, which was now her room, at least for the time being. He observed her as she meticulously placed each item, treating them with a respect that revealed much about her past experiences of lack. He mentioned that he had some work calls to make once they were done. Are you going to be all right by yourself for a little while? If you find yourself feeling bored, there are books available in the living room. Lily nodded, and David stepped back into his home office, gently shutting the door behind him. The initial call had nothing to do with work, it was directed to a private investigator he occasionally employed for assessing business partners. I require details regarding an Emily Wilson, who is also referred to as Emily Reynolds, he stated, lowering his voice. I need to thoroughly check her background, employment history, financial records, and any other details that could shed light on how she managed to uphold two distinct identities. The investigator remarked, "This seems quite intricate. Is this connected to business?" "It's a matter of personal importance," David stated with conviction, "and it must remain confidential." Once the call concluded, David remained at his desk, gazing at the framed photograph of Emily that had held its place there since her passing. Her smile, once a beacon of solace, now appeared mysterious, hiding truths he was just starting to reveal. A gentle rap at the door broke the silence of his contemplation. He opened it to discover Lily standing there, clutching a leather-bound photo album that he instantly recognized. The wedding album Emily meticulously curated, brimming with genuine moments from their courthouse ceremony and heartfelt reception. "I found this," Lily said, her expression a mystery. "It truly is her. Together with you." David acknowledged her presence with a nod, gracefully stepping aside to allow her entry into the office. "Absolutely. That is the day we celebrate our union." Lily settled into one of the chairs across from his desk, delicately flipping through the pages of the album. "She appears to be in a state of joy," she noted softly. David remarked that she was sitting beside her instead of behind his desk. "I believed she was, at the very least." Lily gently ran her finger along Emily's beaming face captured in one of the photographs. "She expressed her happiness with me as well, though there was a subtle edge of defensiveness in her voice. Although we lacked all of this." David sensed the unspoken reproach but remained steadfast in his resolve. The disparity between his existence alongside Emily and hers was striking. "I trust you," he said softly. "Your mother was, it appears, quite intricate, yet I always believed in her ability to love deeply." For the first time since their encounter, a hint of warmth touched Lily's features. "I feel the same way." This delicate moment of mutual recognition may have been fleeting, yet as they sat side by side, poring over images of a woman who had intertwined their lives with both connection and deceit, David sensed it was, if nothing else, a starting point. The private investigator confirmed over the phone 3 days later that she is undoubtedly Emily's daughter. The birth certificate indicates that Emily Wilson is the mother, with no father recorded. David moved restlessly around his office, absorbing the details while maintaining a hushed tone. Lily sat in the living room, diligently tackling assignments from her new school, which she had just begun the day prior. "Can we discuss Emily's background? Did you come across anything out of the ordinary?" The investigator responded with a hint of understatement. "Emily Wilson seems to have been a figure shrouded in pieces until a decade ago. Driver's license and social security number are valid, yet they come with limited background. It seems as though she fashioned this persona just prior to Lily's arrival." "What about Emily Reynolds?" "That identity has a more significant documentation history, though I'm still investigating. The marriage license issued to you is valid, and the employment records at the museum are in order. However, there are discrepancies in her financial history. Consistent cash withdrawals occur every Monday, ranging from $500 to $700 each time." David shut his eyes, resting against his desk. "Funds for Lily, for their shared future." The investigator continued, stating that the death certificate identifies heart failure as the cause. Medical records reveal that she had a congenital heart condition, which she failed to disclose to her doctors until it was too late. Denied care on several occasions in the months leading up to her passing. She never mentioned any heart issues, David remarked, the news striking him deeply. What could be the reason for her to decline treatment? I'm unable to provide an answer to that. However, there's more to consider. She maintained a secure deposit box at Midtown Federal. As her partner, you ought to have access to it. Once the call concluded, David remained still, grappling with the revelations that clashed with his perception of the woman he believed he understood. What is the purpose of establishing a dual identity? What's the reason for concealing a heart condition? What other secrets had Emily hidden? The echo of Lily's footsteps in the hallway drew him back from his reverie. She stood in the doorway, homework tightly held in one hand. I need help with math, she said, her voice wavering slightly, still grappling with the discomfort of reaching out to him for assistance. David embraced the diversion. Let's examine the situation at hand. They gathered around the dining room table, collaboratively tackling multiplication problems. Lily shone with intelligence, grasping ideas swiftly even in the face of her interrupted schooling. David was struck by her unwavering determination. In the face of challenging problems, she persisted, exploring various methods until she found a solution that succeeded. He complimented her on her skill as they wrapped up. Lily shrugged, yet he noticed the faint smile she attempted to conceal. My mom offered her assistance whenever possible, though she admitted that math wasn't her strong suit. Indeed, David concurred, recalling how Emily often teased about her lack of mathematical talent compared to her artistic flair. The subtle alignment in their experiences of her brought an unexpected sense of comfort. Has she ever shared where she spent her childhood? David inquired with caution. Or discuss her early years? Lily pondered the question. She mentioned that she frequently changed her location. In her youth, that was the reason we followed suit. She paused, then continued, at times she appeared frightened, as if we were fleeing from something. David's curiosity intensified. Did she express her fears? No, but occasionally she'd catch a glimpse of something on the news or encounter someone on the street, and she'd fall into a deep silence. Next, we would relocate once more. This revealed fresh insights, not merely a dual existence, but a life marked by trepidation. It was at odds with the assured, poised Emily he had always recognized. Lily, he spoke softly, I'm making an effort to comprehend your mom more fully. Our experiences alongside her were quite distinct. Would it be all right if we explored her belongings together? Perhaps we could both delve deeper into her story. Lily gave a slow, deliberate nod. I possess only a few items of hers, merely some photographs and her locket. What about a locket? She entrusted it to me before her passing, urging me to safeguard it and never remove it. Lily drew forth a delicate silver chain from beneath her shirt, unveiling a tiny heart-shaped locket. However, it remains closed. I have made an effort. David leaned in, scrutinizing the intricate piece of jewelry. He had never witnessed Emily don it, yet there was an inexplicable sense of familiarity about it. Could I? He inquired, extending his hand with care. Lily paused for a moment, then raised the chain above her head, gently setting the locket into his hand. David flipped it over, observing a delicate engraving on the reverse side. Always safeguard what is truly important. The word sent a shiver down his spine, deepening his unease that Emily's lies were not random whims but rather meticulously planned. It might even be essential. I think, he said, as he handed the locket back to Lily. We must uncover what your mother was shielding you from. Her eyes grew a touch wider. Do you trust me? Was she frightened? I do, David said, coming to the realization that he truly meant it. It seems the moment has come for us to uncover the reasons behind this. The grand stone structure of Midtown Federal Bank loomed ahead, prompting Lily to tilt her head back in awe as they drew near. David hadn't intended to take her with him for this task, but his recently employed nanny had fallen ill, and a part of him resisted the idea of leaving Lily with yet another unknown caregiver. "This won't take long," he assured as they stepped into the lobby adorned with marble floors. "Simply remain nearby." Lily nodded, her demeanor betraying a hint of intimidation by the opulent surroundings, though she made an effort to mask it. That morning, she had chosen her attire with great care, donning one of her new outfits. Her hair was brushed to perfection, as if she were readying herself for a significant event. The locket rested prominently around her neck, a cherished talisman she had not removed since their conversation the day before. The bank manager acknowledged David with a nod, his eyebrows lifting just a touch at the sight of Lily, yet he refrained from probing further. Upon examining David's identification and marriage certificate, he guided them to a secluded room where the safe deposit box was ready for their attention. The manager assured me of my privacy as he gently closed the door behind him. The metal box rested on the table between them, ordinary in appearance, yet it carried an unsettling weight. David paused, sensing he was on the verge of breaching a line that Emily had intentionally set. Yet he sought clarity. Both of them did. "Are you prepared?" he inquired of Lily. She nodded, stepping nearer to the table as David turned the key and raised the lid. Within were a collection of meticulously arranged objects, a manila envelope, a petite velvet pouch, a USB drive, and a handwritten letter bearing the name David on its front. His hands quivered ever so slightly as he extended them toward the letter. Emily's recognizable script adorned the page, graceful yet swift, as though composed in a rush. "David." It commenced. "If you find yourself reading this, it means that something has transpired, and my deepest anxieties might have come to fruition. I apologize for the truths I've hidden from you. Understand that each moment we experienced together was genuine, even if certain aspects of my life were kept in the shadows. The attached documents will clarify all details. It's crucial to recognize that I wasn't always known as Emily. Prior to our encounter, I observed something that was never meant for my eyes. My account led to the incarceration of perilous individuals, and I subsequently joined a witness protection program. I transformed into Emily Wilson, embracing a life of quietude until the moment arrived when I felt secure enough to create a future, first with Lily, and eventually with you. I crafted distinct realms, as intertwining them with my history felt too perilous. If they discover my whereabouts, those dear to me could be in danger. Separating you from Lily was the only way I could think of to ensure your safety. I've just discovered that the individual I provided testimony against is being released ahead of schedule. If anything were to happen to me, Lily would require safeguarding. The USB drive holds crucial evidence that could ensure his continued imprisonment if it reaches the appropriate authorities. My intention was never to cause you pain, David. Adoring you was the truest aspect of my intricate existence. I ask for your forgiveness. Emily. David placed the letter aside, his thoughts swirling in confusion. Witness protection, criminal threats, it felt like a scene straight out of a movie, a stark contrast to the life of the art conservator he had chosen to marry. What does it indicate? Lily inquired softly. David gazed at her, this young soul who had faced an abundance of loss and uncertainty, and wrestled with the decision of how much to reveal. He finally replied, saying that your mom was incredibly brave and that she kept secrets to safeguard us both. Lily pondered this for a moment before gesturing towards the leftover items. What more exists? David eagerly opened the manila envelope, discovering documents that validated every detail in Emily's letter. She was once known as Sarah Cassidy. She had observed a murder carried out by Viktor Kozlov, the leader of a money laundering scheme with connections to organized crime through REM. Her testimony played a crucial role in securing his conviction, yet his organization endured, bolstered by associates who continued to pledge their loyalty to their incarcerated leader. The soft velvet pouch held a key marked with a numerical code, its purpose shrouded in mystery. When David momentarily connected the USB drive to his phone, it seemed to house encrypted files that demanded specific software for access. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of this, David admitted to Lily, but I believe your mom, R. Emily was far more intricate than either of us realized. Is that the reason behind our frequent moves? Lily inquired. Was it because there were ill-intentioned individuals searching for her? David inclined his head with a measured gesture. It appears to be so. Lily's petite features set into a resolute expression that appeared strikingly advanced for her age. We must complete what she began. It is essential to ensure that those with ill intentions are kept at a distance. As he met her unwavering gaze, fixated on the locket that held untold mysteries, David was overwhelmed by a powerful urge to shield her. Emily had perished in her relentless pursuit to protect her daughter. No matter what happened next, he was determined that her sacrifice would not be for nothing. We will, he assured, collecting the items once more into the box. Next week marks the release of Together Viktor Kozlov. David's protection. The consultant's expression was serious during the video call. Having completed 8 years of a 15-year sentence, the typical justifications of good behavior and overcrowding come into play. David walked back and forth in his home office, stealing glances at the door to make sure Lily couldn't enter. Come this way. She sat in the living room, engrossed in her school project, yet her remarkable skill to glide quietly through the house had caught him off guard more than once. What sort of danger does he represent? David inquired. Noteworthy. Kozlov continued to exert influence, even from behind bars. His organization may be reduced, yet it remains functional, and he is not one to forgive or forget. The consultant took a moment of silence. The information you referenced on the USB drive may hold significant value, but we must first gain access to it. I'm currently focused on that, David mentioned. He had engaged a cybersecurity specialist to unravel the files, but the process was proving to be time-consuming. What are the pressing security issues at hand? I have already heightened monitoring around your residence and Lily's school. I suggest considering a temporary relocation once Kozlov is released, at least until we gain clarity on his intentions. Once the call concluded, David sank into his desk chair, the burden of responsibility weighing heavily upon him. In merely a fortnight, his existence had changed utterly. Transitioning from a heartbroken husband to a vigilant protector of a young one he was still learning about, confronting dangers posed by a criminal syndicate he had only just discovered days prior. A gentle rap broke the silence of his contemplation. Lily lingered in the doorway, clutching a vibrant sheet of construction paper. She approached his desk hesitantly, saying, "I finished my family tree project. However, I'm uncertain how to address the vacant areas." David gazed at the vibrant diagram. Lily inscribed her name at the bottom, with Emily's elegantly placed above it, while the remainder lay untouched. The void left by father, grandparents, and extended family loomed large, a stark illustration of everything Emily had concealed. "How can I assist you?" He motioned for her to take a seat. Lily ascended onto the chair positioned opposite him. The instructor mentioned that each person's tree would be unique, yet mine seems rather bare. David carefully examined the project, contemplating the best approach to navigate this sensitive situation. "It's clear that your mother's true name was Sarah Cassidy. That could be included." Lily nodded, meticulously inscribing the name next to Emily Wilson. "How about you?" she inquired abruptly. "Where do you venture on the tree?" David was taken aback by the question. He confessed uncertainty. "I was married to your mother, but I am not your biological dad." Lily noted with straightforward reasoning that you are looking after me now. Isn't that the role of a father? A sensation constricted within David's chest, an unusual blend of duty, warmth, and unresolved sorrow. "Indeed, I suppose it is. May I place you here?" She gestured toward the vacant area marked father. David paused, fully conscious of the weight of her request. "Is that really what you desire?" Lily nodded, her demeanor grave. "You are my sole companion." The 6 words, delivered with such straightforwardness, altered something essential in David's understanding. Up until this moment, his actions had been driven by a sense of duty to honor Emily's memory, rooted in fundamental human kindness towards a child in need. Yet, Lily's straightforward remark revealed a more profound reality. They were intertwined now, linked by something deeper than merely Emily's trickery. They were essential to one another. "Very well," he murmured gently. "You may place me there," as Lily meticulously inscribed David Reynolds in the designated father space. A sound from outside drew David's focus, a vehicle decelerating in front of the house, an odd occurrence for their tranquil street. He approached the window, a sense of unease coiling in his shoulders, and observed as a black sedan came to a halt across the street. "Is everything all right?" Lily inquired, observing his newfound attentiveness. "Probably nothing," David remarked, attempting to maintain a nonchalant tone while unease stirred within him. The vehicle sat quietly, its windows obscured by deep tint, hiding whatever lay within. "What's holding you back from completing your project in the kitchen? Allow me to prepare some delightful hot chocolate for us." Once Lily had moved to a secure location away from the windows, David sent a message to his security team regarding the suspicious vehicle. In just a few moments, one of his guards responded, indicating that they were monitoring the vehicle and would take action if needed. The sedan lingered for an additional 20 minutes before it finally departed. However, the message was unmistakable. Eyes were upon them. Once upon a time. Rushing to unravel the mystery of Emily's files and grasp the true nature of what she had been safeguarding. That evening, once he had settled Lily into her cozy bed, David came to a resolution. They were filled with anticipation. They had to vacate the brownstone and find a safe place until Emily's evidence could be thoroughly examined and presented to the authorities. He informed Lily the following morning during breakfast that they were embarking on a journey. A place of refuge. To his astonishment, she merely nodded as though she had anticipated this moment. "Is it due to the untrustworthy individuals?" Indeed, David acknowledged, recognizing that there was no reason to protect her from a threat she already grasped instinctively. "I assure you, Lily, that no one will cause you any harm. Not as long as I'm present." She observed him intently for a prolonged moment before responding. "Your words resonate with me." The safe house was a contemporary apartment nestled within a fortified building in Midtown, offering vistas of the city skyline that would typically captivate onlookers. Yet, Lily only cast a fleeting look at the expansive windows before redirecting her focus to the intriguing surroundings. She held her small backpack tightly in her hands. David observed her careful examination, scrutinizing doors, windows, and closets, and recognized the actions of someone familiar with evaluating unfamiliar spaces for security. "This is a lovely spot," he remarked, placing their bags on the ground. "And exceptionally safe." Lily nodded, finishing her round of the apartment before coming back to stand beside him. "What is the duration of our stay here?" "I'm uncertain," David replied candidly. "A handful of days, at the very least. My security team will monitor the brownstone, watching for any attempts to approach it." "What is the situation with school?" "Your assignments have been arranged to be sent here. We will find a way to make it happen." Lily embraced this with the same calm strength she applied to every upheaval. By the age of 7, she had already faced more turmoil than many adults ever do. Yet she adjusted with impressive poise. It captivated David, even as it weighed on his mind. No child ought to be so adept at navigating displacement. Later that evening, while Lily focused on her schoolwork at the dining table, David's phone suddenly rang. It was the specialist he had brought on board to unravel the complexities of Emily's files. The woman announced that she had successfully breached the initial layer of encryption. "What I observe at this point raises some worries. Financial records, offshore accounts, transaction histories, all intricately connected to Kozlov's organization." David came to the realization that Emily was keeping tabs on their finances. Not merely tracking, she was meticulously recording systematic money laundering via art acquisitions. Precisely, the type of evidence that could greatly lengthen Kozlov's sentence if she was collecting this during her time at the museum. She could have accessed the provenance records and buyer information, David concluded, as the pieces began to align. Could you please send the information you discovered in a secure manner? Not in a digital format. This matter is delicate enough that I would suggest discussing it face to face. I can meet you tomorrow. Once the call concluded, David noticed Lily observing him closely from the table, her homework momentarily set aside. Wasn't that about Mom's secret files? She inquired. David nodded, consistently taken aback by her keen insight. Indeed, we're beginning to grasp the essence of her project. Could it pose a risk? It might assist in ensuring our safety, David replied thoughtfully. Your mother was incredibly astute, she bequeathed knowledge that could safeguard us from those she feared. Lily appeared to ponder this momentarily before posing her subsequent question. Were you aware of this at all during your marriage to her? The inquiry pierced the core of David's turmoil, a conflict that had arisen since he uncovered Emily's betrayal. No, he acknowledged, she maintained a clear divide in this aspect of her existence. Lily stated firmly that she was protecting you as well. My mother often reminded me that there are times when holding on to secrets is necessary for the protection of others. David took a seat opposite her at the table. Did she mention that frequently? Lily gave a slight nod. When I inquired about our lack of friends and our constant movement, she explained that it was preferable for others to remain unaware of our lives. She hesitated, her delicate fingers gliding over the surface of her notebook, creating intricate designs. It didn't resonate with me. I hoped to have friends who would remain at the same school. That must have been difficult, David remarked softly. It was indeed. Lily gazed at him, her demeanor reflecting a maturity that belied her age. However, I now grasped the reasoning behind her actions. She was determined to put an end to the wrongdoings of those with ill intentions. David extended his arm across the table, gently enveloping her delicate hand with his own. Your mother displayed remarkable courage. And so are you indeed. That evening, once Lily had settled into her slumber, David found himself gazing out the window at the twinkling city lights, holding Emily's letter retrieved from the safe deposit box in his grasp. He had perused it countless times, seeking hints, yearning for a more profound comprehension of the woman he had cherished. I crafted distinct realms, as intertwining them with my history felt too perilous. The words lingered painfully, but he was starting to grasp the insurmountable dilemma Emily had encountered. She had seen something horrific, made the courageous choice to testify, and thereafter lived her life in constant vigilance. Amidst the overwhelming fear, she managed to carve out space for love, love for her daughter, love for him. Although she struggled to weave together those aspects of her existence, the dawn of tomorrow promised fresh insights and possibly unforeseen threats. But tonight, as he watched over a sleeping child who was swiftly becoming the focal point of his universe, David finally experienced a sense of tranquility regarding Emily's choices. She had been safeguarding what was truly important. Now it was his moment to reciprocate. The morning arrived with a relentless rain that tapped rhythmically on the windows of the safe house, enveloping the apartment in a muted gray light that mirrored David's somber mood. The cybersecurity expert was scheduled to arrive at noon, yet David's eagerness was moderated by a sense of caution. Every fresh insight into Emily's hidden existence had added layers of understanding and complexity, and he anticipated that today would follow suit. Lily perched on the living room floor, her legs folded beneath her, immersed in a vibrant array of colored pencils and sheets of paper. Since breakfast, she had been immersed in her drawing, producing intense and focused creations that David identified as the various homes she had shared with Emily. Every image encapsulated distinct elements. A shattered pane, a blossoming plant perched on a fire escape, a glimpse of a specific street corner. It felt like she was chronicling her past, safeguarding moments she worried could fade into oblivion. David noted with interest, kneeling beside her to scrutinize the drawings. These are simply the ones that stand out in my memory, Lily said, her gaze fixed elsewhere. There were additional ones. David examined the latest sketch, depicting a cozy apartment with a slanted ceiling and a window that framed a view of what seemed to be a park. Was this your home in the end? Lily nodded, meticulously enhancing the shading around the window. For a span of 3 months, it was quite pleasant. Mom suggested we might extend our stay, but then she fell ill. Did she mention that she was unwell? David inquired softly. Initially, no. She attempted to conceal it. Lily's hand paused above the paper. Yet, I sensed it. She became fatigued quickly and occasionally struggled to catch her breath. Then, one day, she found herself unable to rise from her bed. David shut his eyes for a moment, envisioning Emily grappling with her solitude, striving to shield Lily from the harsh truth of her deteriorating health while shouldering the weight of her hidden history. The neighbors summoned the ambulance, Lily continued, her voice quiet yet unwavering. My mother had me vow to be courageous before they took her from me. She entrusted me with her locket, insisting that I should never remove it. After that, she vanished from my sight. The straightforward narration shattered David's heart. Though he received the news of Emily's hospitalization right away and remained by her side in her last days, Lily found herself abandoned, waiting for a mother who would never come back. I'm truly sorry, Lily, he murmured, his hand resting softly on her shoulder. That sounds absolutely frightening. She finally raised her gaze to him, her expression leaning more towards curiosity than sorrow. Why didn't she mention me to you? Assistance from you would have made a difference. The inquiry cut through David's meticulously crafted facade. It was the very question he had pondered endlessly since discovering Lily at the cemetery. It seems he started off at a gradual pace. She thought that maintaining our distance was the sole means to ensure our safety. If those she testified against ever sought her out as Emily Wilson, they would not locate me. And if they ever linked her to Emily Reynolds, they wouldn't uncover your presence. Yet, that signified we were both solitary in her passing. Lily articulated her point with piercing clarity. Indeed, David acknowledged. The plan had a critical flaw. She likely believed she had additional time to sort everything out. The sudden buzz cut through their dialogue. The specialist in cybersecurity had made their entrance. David ushered her in, a straightforward woman in her 40s who introduced herself plainly as Mira. She bore a steadfast laptop and an unwavering look of resolve. Once they were seated at the dining table, she explained that she had decrypted about 60% of the files, while Lily continued her drawing in the living room. What I've discovered is essentially a series of documents linking Kozlov's organization to a significant art forgery and money laundering scheme. She powered up her laptop, revealing an intricate diagram of financial transactions, records of artwork provenance, and shipping manifests. Sarah, formerly known as Emily, was chronicling the organization's process of acquiring authentic artwork via auctions, crafting forgeries, selling the originals on the black market, and subsequently uncovering the forgeries to claim insurance. Funds circulate through offshore accounts, undergo a cleansing process, and then re-enter their legitimate enterprises. While immersed in the world of art restoration, she collected all of this. David remarked, observing how ideally situated Emily was to perceive these patterns. Precisely. She possessed examination records, authentication documents, and all the necessary elements to construct this case. Myra's expression took on a more somber tone. However, there is an additional aspect to consider. I came across messages indicating that Kozlov had a suspicion someone was monitoring his activities. The final recorded entry dates back to 3 weeks prior to Emily's passing. David experienced a sudden shiver coursing through his body. Do you believe they found out what she was up to? I believe there's a significant chance. Suddenly, the apartment's windows shattered inward, sending a cascade of glass and debris flying, silencing her words as the deafening blast reverberated through the building. David's military training, though years old, surged forth with an undeniable intensity. He surged across the room toward Lily, enveloping her petite form with his as shards of glass cascaded around them. Her drawings were swept away in the rush of air that came after the explosion, vibrant pages dancing like injured birds amid the turmoil. Are you okay? He insisted, swiftly assessing her for any signs of harm. Lily shook her head, her eyes wide with disbelief yet surprisingly devoid of tears. The tranquility in those eyes disturbed David more than any outburst could have. It was the instinctive response of a young one well acquainted with crises. Mira had swiftly retrieved her laptop and was now packing it into her bag with purpose. "This wasn't random," she stated, blood seeping from a gash on her forehead. "They discovered our location." The piercing cry of the fire alarm echoed through the air, accompanied by the frantic shouts and hurried footsteps that reverberated in the corridor beyond. David's thoughts surged like a whirlwind. The blast seemed to have come from a nearby apartment or the floor above, indicating it wasn't a direct assault on their unit, yet it was perilously close, potentially serving as a cautionary signal or a fatal error in aiming. "We must go," he urged, assisting Lily to stand. At this moment, she quickly grabbed her backpack resting beside the sofa. "My belongings." "No time," David insisted. Yet, upon noticing the flicker of fear in her eyes, he softened his stance. "Half a minute. Take only what is essential." As Lily hurriedly collected her few cherished belongings, David grabbed his emergency bag, meticulously prepared with cash, important documents, and burner phones, and peered through the peephole to assess the hallway. Residents were fleeing, surging toward the stairwell in a frenzied rush. "We'll merge seamlessly with the throng," he assured Mira. "Utilize the evacuation as a disguise. Try to distance yourself from us if you dare. Your safety will be enhanced. Reach out to me via the secure channel once you're ready," she acknowledged, grasping the plan. "The proof remains stored on the drive. I will finalize the decryption in a secure location." David glanced at Lily, poised with her backpack, Emily's locket held firmly in her grasp. "Remain close to me. If anything goes awry, and we find ourselves apart, do you recall the secret word?" "Paintbrush," she declared without hesitation. "Excellent. Steer clear of those who lack that understanding." He grasped her hand, captivated by the firmness of her hold. "Are you prepared?" She nodded once, determination etching itself into her youthful visage. As they entered the hallway, they were instantly swept up in the frantic rush of residents escaping the building. David held Lily near, his hand resting gently on her shoulder as they navigated through the throng toward the stairs. Mira reclined, permitting herself to be distanced as intended. The stairwell teemed with individuals, each step down a slow and fraught endeavor. David remained vigilant, his eyes darting around for any potential dangers, for anyone who seemed overly fixated on them instead of prioritizing their escape. 3 floors down, he noticed a man navigating against the tide, advancing with resolute intent, his hand hidden within his jacket. "Altered course," David murmured to Lily, leading her to leave the stairwell at the next level. They stepped into a quiet residential hallway, briefly deserted as the majority of residents had already left. "Where are we headed?" Lily inquired, matching his brisk pace. "Service elevator," David said, confidently making his way through the hallways, guided by his recollection. With fewer people around, they turned a corner and discovered the service area, where the elevator was surprisingly functional despite the crisis. David pressed the call button over and over, fully conscious of their precarious situation in this lonely corridor. "Someone's coming," Lily warned, her keen senses picking up the sound of footsteps long before David noticed. The elevator arrived with a gentle chime, its doors gliding open to unveil a vacant car. David guided Lily through the door, his finger pressing the button for the basement garage as the unmistakable sound of approaching footsteps echoed around them. As the doors started to shut, a hand shot through the opening, a man's hand adorned with a striking ring featuring a red stone. David responded without hesitation, hitting the hand with enough force to make it pull back. The doors sealed shut, and the elevator commenced its downward journey. "Who might that be?" Lily inquired, her tone unwavering in the face of peril. "I'm not sure," David confessed. "Yet, what about the ring he had on?" "I've encountered it previously, captured in images from Emily's USB drive. It has ties to Kozlov's organization." The elevator arrived at the garage level, its doors sliding open to reveal the shadowy expanse of the parking area. David hurried Lily along the aisles of cars, attuned to any sounds of being followed. He informed her that he didn't possess a car here. "We'll have to think on our feet." "Is it similar to hot wiring?" Lily inquired, catching him off guard. "Mother had a knack for that. She demonstrated it to me once when we were pressed for time." David gazed at her, filled with a sense of wonder he had never felt before. "Your mother was a wellspring of unexpected delights." With a serious tone, Lily remarked that it was meant solely for emergencies. "This certainly meets the criteria," David remarked, surveying the garage for an appropriate vehicle. "Let's seek a way to escape this place." The purloined sedan growled beneath them as David steered through the rain-soaked streets of Manhattan, creating a gap between them and the apartment building. In the distance, the wail of police sirens pierced the air, as emergency vehicles rushed toward the scene of the explosion they had just departed. Lily occupied the passenger seat, her backpack held tightly against her chest as if it were a protective shield. "How are you doing?" David inquired, casting a quick look at her while meticulously monitoring the rearview mirror. She gave a slight nod. "Where are we headed?" It was the insightful inquiry of a young one who had navigated a world of constant upheaval. Calm and composed, she focused on adjusting to their new reality. "In a distant place." "They won't come looking for us," David replied. "I possess a cabin upstate, though it isn't registered under my name. Emily and I acquired it via a shell company for our weekend retreats." He couldn't help but notice the irony. Emily had crafted a secret sanctuary for their shared existence, all the while nurturing another concealed life with Lily. Her compartmentalization had been utterly excruciating, as difficult as it was to admit. "Is your friend going to be all right? The woman with the computer?" Lily inquired as they traversed the George Washington Bridge, bidding farewell to the city. David reassured her that Mira could manage on her own, yet his worry remained palpable. "She possesses the art of vanishing." They traveled in quietude for several miles, the rain tapping rhythmically on the roof. David's thoughts whirred with numbers and equations. How Kozlov's? They had been discovered by others. What resources remained to safeguard Lily, the one person he could still rely on? "Why didn't Mom ever mention her heart issue to you?" Lily inquired abruptly, her question slicing through his careful deliberations. David's grip on the steering wheel grew firmer. "I'm uncertain. I find myself pondering that very question." Lily continued, mentioning that she occasionally took medicine. Tablets she concealed. When I inquired about them, she mentioned they were merely vitamins. Yet another trickery. Yet another facet of Emily that remained concealed from him. Did she consult with any doctors? Lily gave a slight shake of her head. She had an aversion to doctors, claiming they posed an excessive number of inquiries. She hesitated, nervously adjusting the strap of her backpack. In recent months, she found herself feeling quite fatigued and struggled with climbing stairs. However, she claimed it was merely stress. David felt a lump in his throat, picturing Emily enduring her plight in silence, fully aware that her situation was deteriorating yet hesitant to pursue the necessary care. Maybe she had worried that medical records would inadvertently reveal her two identities. Or perhaps the limitations imposed by the Witness Protection Program had hindered her ability to obtain specialized care. For reasons unknown, she opted for concealment instead of seeking help, leading to dire outcomes. "I believe," he said thoughtfully, "your mother devoted so much time to shielding others that she overlooked her own well-being." Lily pondered this, her delicate features serious, illuminated by the soft glow of the dashboard lights. "Do you believe she had any awareness of her impending death?" David was taken aback by the question. He wished to provide comfort, yet a voice within him insisted that Lily warranted the truth. It seemed she may have had her suspicions. That might explain her decision to leave the safe deposit box behind, as well as her choice to give you the locket. Lily murmured in agreement, her voice barely above a whisper. "The last time I encountered her, her embrace felt distinct. extended. As if she were bidding farewell. The straightforward observation struck deep into David's heart. This child had to navigate not only the pain of loss but also the sting of abandonment, left in solitude when Emily passed away, burdened by secrets too perilous to reveal. "Lily," he uttered, arriving at a choice he hadn't deliberately contemplated. "I have something important to share with you. Text regardless of the circumstances, I will always remain present for you. We are united in this journey now." She observed him with those intense eyes that appeared to seek a deeper truth beyond mere language. "Is that a guarantee?" "I assure you." The cabin emerged from the embrace of the trees as they navigated the winding gravel drive. A robust edifice of wood and stone, harmoniously set against the lush expanse of the woods. David maneuvered the vehicle into a discreet spot, shrouding it from the view of the main road, and swiftly guided Lily into the interior. The interior exuded a sense of simplicity while ensuring comfort. A charming space featuring a rustic stone fireplace, a cozy kitchen, 2 inviting bedrooms, and a delightful loft. David ensured the doors and windows were locked tight before illuminating the space with just a few soft lights. "We should be safe here for a while," he said to Lily, assisting her as she placed her backpack on the well-worn leather sofa. "This location remains a hidden gem to most." "Was this place to Mom's liking?" she inquired, her gaze sweeping across the charmingly rugged surroundings. "She adored it," David remarked, nostalgia gently infusing his tone. "She mentioned it was the sole location where she could genuinely unwind." At that moment, clarity washed over him. It was the sole place where Emily could shed her dual identities, where she could merely be, free from the need for performance or separation. Looking back, those weekend retreats were likely her sole instances of true tranquility. Lily remarked softly, her fingers gliding over the back of the sofa, "I believe I would have enjoyed it as well. If we had all gathered here together." 3 days at the cabin unfolded in a disquieting cadence. David stayed alert, meticulously monitoring security and reaching out through secure channels to connect with his few remaining trusted contacts. Lily adjusted to her new surroundings with the tenacity he had grown to anticipate. Venturing into the cabin and the nearby woods throughout the day, assisting in the preparation of uncomplicated meals, and posing insightful inquiries about Emily's experiences there. As dawn broke on the 4th day, David's secure phone vibrated, signaling a message from Mira. "Decryption has been successfully finalized. Proof is prepared. Let's connect tomorrow." Standard setting. Midday. A wave of relief washed over him. Armed with the fully decrypted evidence, they could now engage with federal authorities, possibly bringing Kozlov's menace to a definitive close. Only one more day of vigilance. Just one last one. Gathering, and they may discover a path to safety. Good news? Lily inquired, her gaze fixed on his face as she continued to sketch by the fireplace. "I believe that's the case," David responded. "My friend has completed the analysis of your mom's files. We will see her tomorrow and then deliver everything to those who can assist us." Lily nodded, immersing herself once more in her drawing, a meticulous depiction of the cabin, precise in its dimensions and characteristics. Her artistic talent was extraordinary, a link to Emily that occasionally caused David's heart to swell with understanding. That evening, as the golden light streamed through the pine trees encircling the cabin, David discovered Lily perched on the porch steps, Emily's locket gently held in her hands. "I've been trying to figure out how to open it," she said, glancing over as he settled beside her. "Mom mentioned its significance, yet it lacks a conventional clasp." David examined the delicate silver heart closely. "Is it permissible for me to?" he inquired, and Lily passed it to him. He scrutinized it meticulously, observing the faint markings that could suggest an undiscovered mechanism. As he remembered Emily's fondness for puzzles and hidden compartments, a quality he had once deemed charmingly eccentric but now understood as a reflection of her need for security, he began to press different spots on the locket's surface. As he pressed down on both the top and bottom at once, a faint click acknowledged his persistence. The locket's face shifted to the side instead of opening in the usual manner, unveiling not a picture but a tiny storage space holding a micro SD card. "Another secret," David whispered, delicately extracting the small card. "What does it contain?" Lily inquired, her eyes brimming with curiosity. "I have a feeling that your mom may have left us one last note." Once Lily was peacefully asleep in the loft bedroom of the cabin, David slid the micro SD card into his laptop. A solitary video file was included, time-stamped 2 weeks prior to Emily's passing. His hand quivered ever so slightly as he hit the play button. Emily's face appeared on screen, looking pale and drawn, yet resolute. "David," Lily started, her voice unwavering even as the tension etched across her face. "If you find yourselves watching this together, then both my deepest dread and my highest aspiration have been realized. You have discovered one another." The well-known cadence of her voice, after a year of quiet, unleashed a torrent of feelings. David halted the video, taking a moment to steady himself before delving into the last revelations Emily had in store for them. David hit play, and once again, Emily's voice enveloped the serene cabin. "I have a lot to clarify." She pressed on, her figure wavering ever so slightly on the diminutive display. "To you, David, I sincerely apologize. The woman you chose to spend your life with was genuine, despite the fact that her name and past were not authentic. All that existed between us was genuine. I never meant to let my heart lead me to you, to intertwine our lives in this intricate web, yet I found myself powerless against it." She hesitated, the well-known motion of tucking her hair behind her ear causing David's heart to tighten. "Lily, my courageous girl, I apologize as well for all the changes, the hidden truths, the justifications that never fully added up. You were entitled to a sense of security, companionship, and a typical upbringing. I trust that one day you'll realize that all my actions were driven by a desire to protect you." Emily adjusted her position, clearly summoning the resolve to press on. "The information I've gathered demonstrates that Kozlov's organization persisted in its operations even during his time in prison. His release will only amplify their threat. The complete evidence lies within the files I've concealed, yet this card holds something of equal significance. Utilize. Identities of officials who have faced compromise. Places where assets are hidden, even beyond the knowledge of federal authorities. A policy of assurance, if you please." She inched nearer to the lens, her demeanor growing more fervent. "David, there is a federal agent by the name of Catherine Reeves working with the U.S. Marshals Service. She guided me when I stepped into witness protection. She is the sole person I have ever placed my full trust in. Deliver the evidence to her alone. The metadata of this video contains her contact information." Emily's poise momentarily wavered, as feelings surged to the surface. "And now comes the most challenging aspect. I have been aware of my heart condition for many years. The physician indicated it was a congenital issue, suggesting that surgery would be necessary at some point. However, the prospect of surgery brought along medical records, inquiries I was unable to address, and a level of exposure I couldn't afford, especially with Kozlov's associates still on the hunt. I decided to postpone treatment to ensure our safety." She gently placed her fingers on her chest, just above her heart. "The situation seems to be deteriorating. If you're seeing this, it's probable that I didn't make it to Kozlov's release date, but I've done my utmost to prepare. The proof, this communication, the possibilities, they represent my gift to you both." Emily brushed away a tear, pulling her shoulders back with noticeable determination. "David, if Lily is by your side now, it signifies that you have taken on the role of her guardian. I believe deep down that you will look after her just as I would. Lily has faith in David. He is a remarkable individual, truly the finest I have encountered." She smiled then, a true smile that contrasted with the sorrow reflected in her eyes. "My deepest sorrow lies in the fact that I was unable to unite my two worlds during my lifetime. Yet, it is possible that through this ultimate revelation, a fresh start may emerge for you both. My affection for you both runs deeper than words can convey. Stay safe. Embrace courage. And when this concludes, find joy. The screen dimmed, Emily's visage fading away as suddenly as she had vanished from their existence. David remained still, tears cascading down his cheeks, as the last fragments of Emily's puzzle clicked into position. A faint noise caught his attention, prompting him to turn. Lily lingered at the foot of the loft stairs, wrapping her blanket tightly around her shoulders. I caught her voice, she spoke plainly. The dawn unveiled a soft sun and a sense of fresh determination. David retrieved Agent Catherine Reeves' contact details from the video file metadata and made a meticulously crafted call that verified she remained with the Marshals Service. They decided to meet at noon, choosing a public park 30 miles away instead of the usual spot David had initially planned with Mira. If Kozlov's associates had managed to intercept his messages with Mira, the alteration in plans could potentially provide them with an upper hand. Do you recall what I shared with you? David remarked while assisting Lily into a jacket he had bought from a roadside shop, intentionally large to alter her silhouette. Always remain by my side. If something occurs, please utilize the code word. Lily completed her task. Only partner with someone who understands their craft. He nodded, placing a baseball cap snugly over her dark hair. Should we become separated and you are unable to locate me or Agent Reeves, please utilize this. He presented her with a compact emergency phone, set up with just one number. This will link you straight to my security team. Lily took the phone with a serious demeanor, slipping it into her pocket without hesitation. Her faith in him had deepened gradually throughout their shared moments, a valuable bond David was resolute in cherishing. The journey to the meeting spot was fraught with tension, David repeatedly scanning for any signs of surveillance or pursuit. They arrived ahead of schedule, allowing him the opportunity to scan the park, observing exits and possible hiding spots. Lily remained close to him, her gaze sweeping the area with a keen sense of awareness, a young one molded by experience to remain ever watchful. At exactly noon, a woman clad in a gray suit made her way to their bench. In her 50s, she possessed silver-streaked hair and an alert posture that suggested a familiarity with authority. Mr. Reynolds, she stated directly, her eyes darting to Lily with a sudden spark of acknowledgement. So, you must be Lily. Agent Reeves, David recognized. Emily, Sarah mentioned that you were the sole person we could rely on. Catherine Reeves's professional demeanor relaxed a bit. Sarah Cassidy stood out as one of the most courageous witnesses I have ever collaborated with. Her account secured Kozlov's conviction when others remained silent. She lowered herself to meet Lily's gaze. You resemble her perfectly. Lily observed the agent with keen attention. Were you acquainted with my mom prior to her name change? I certainly did. I assisted her in transforming into Emily Wilson and embarking on her new journey. Reeves stood tall, turning his attention back to David. Did you mention that you possess proof? David extracted a sealed envelope from the depths of his jacket. All the information Emily gathered regarding Kozlov's ongoing activities, names, dates, financial dealings, sufficient to ensure his return to prison for many years. As Agent Reeves extended his hand toward the envelope, David's attention was drawn to a black SUV gliding to a stop at the park entrance. The windows were tinted, and the vehicle's approach felt far too intentional to be mere chance. He cautioned, gesturing toward the vehicle, that we might have visitors. Reeves tracked his gaze, her stance adjusting slightly as well. Preparedness. Provide me with the proof and escort Lily to the restrooms located at the far end of the park. A service entrance lies just behind them. There are operatives positioned in close proximity. We will take care of your departure. David paused, uncertainty flickering in his mind. Years of trust issues clashing with Emily's unwavering belief in this woman. Paintbrush, Agent Reeves murmured, her gaze unwavering on him. The secret phrase, which he had never revealed to her, clarified the choice unmistakably. Emily had placed her full trust in her, confiding in her the details of their emergency protocols. Go, he instructed Lily, leading her toward the path as two men stepped out of the SUV. Everything will turn out fine. For the first time since their encounter, Lily took his hand, her delicate fingers weaving effortlessly with his as they hurried away, placing their faith in Emily's ultimate strategy to guide them to safety. Half a year had passed, and the brownstone in Brooklyn Heights finally embraced a sense of home, a feeling that had eluded it since Emily's passing. The elegant living room had undergone a delightful transformation, adorned with vibrant throw pillows and featuring a charming, child-sized art desk positioned by the window. Framed drawings adorned the walls, sharing space with exquisite pieces of fine art. Lily's work showcased with the pride that Emily would have desired. David lingered in the doorway, observing Lily as she meticulously arranged the flowers on the coffee table, the white lilies a nod to Emily's favorite. Today marked a year and a half since her departure, their second visit to the cemetery together. "Are you prepared?" he inquired gently. Lily nodded, meticulously arranging the last flower. "Do you believe she would appreciate these?" David was confident she would adore them. The journey to Greenwood Cemetery was serene, a stark contrast to their initial encounter in this location. Kozlov found himself behind bars once more, his empire crumbled under the weight of the meticulous evidence Emily had collected with great care. Catherine Reeves honored her commitment, safeguarding them throughout the investigation and legal process, securing their safety as the case reached its conclusion. As they strolled side by side down the well-known trail, Lily's hand nestled in David's, their movements flowed effortlessly in sync. The headstone had been altered, now inscribed with the name Emily Wilson Reynolds, accompanied by Sarah Cassidy in smaller letters below, honoring every facet of the extraordinary woman who had brought them together. Lily tenderly arranged the lilies at the foot of the stone, with David standing silently beside her. After a brief pause, she reached into her pocket and pulled out the silver locket, now devoid of its secret yet still invaluable. "I believe Mom would feel content now," she remarked, gliding her thumb across the engraved heart. "We are no longer in peril. We are united." David knelt beside her, meticulously adjusting his tie, the very one he had donned during the court proceedings last month when the adoption was finalized. "I believe you have a valid point." They lingered a bit longer, reminiscing about Emily, the memories now flowing more freely with the passage of time. The anguish had eased, allowing space for comprehension and even pardon for the unthinkable decisions she had faced. As they strolled back toward the cemetery gates, the crisp autumn leaves crackling underfoot, Lily gazed up at David, her expression a blend of Emily's familiar gaze and the emerging essence of her own vibrant spirit. "Thank you for discovering me," she stated plainly. David beamed, his heart brimming with joy. "Absolutely not, Lily. I appreciate your effort in locating me." Hand in hand, a father and his chosen companion emerged from the realm of memories, stepping boldly into the bright promise of their shared future, the most precious legacy that Emily had entrusted to them.